Good morning. This is your crypto day morning. Today's date in that of Thursday, 24th of January, 2019. All bets, trades of the like. That's within each his own risk and reward. To start this video, going over very quickly within Bitcoin and a couple of the altcoins that I've been showing recently, like Loop Ring and Aid, and those will be very quick looks. Then Litecoin, and that will not be that quick of a look. It's pretty much going to be entitled mostly Litecoin in this video. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about two sporting events. One tonight, the matchup between the New Orleans Pelicans and the OKC Thunder, as well as another NHL All-Star gameplay for Saturday night. All right then, Bitcoin just remains within this 18 average low area, barely declining, basically resisting an area that was support amongst its first half of this sideways movement. Looking as if it might want to have a little move lower, but on the single hour time frame, it looks like we might have a decent shot of a possible update, and I really do say possible at a okay rate. Or at least the setup is just, it's okay. But what's happening here is at 6 o'clock in the morning, after just holding the support at 35.25 area, it managed to have this green candle up. It is doing a nice little grind higher, thus the 18 starting to make its move up. But next level of resistance is in that of 36.14, and then above that, next key levels are a long ways to go. We got this high, well, there's Fibonacci on that I've got written on a different exchange. This is Bitstamp on the Coinbase exchange. The 3700 level is up within the 18 high, so that's also the previous level. So that's the first level of resistance. Getting above that, we're looking at 4100. But for now, not much going on within the Bitcoin cross against the fiat US dollar. Therefore, looking at these coins like Aid, I'm looking to buy back, and I want much cheaper prices still. This thing will certainly, to me, has possibility of having more room to go lower after this level of support multiple hit than somewhere in here. But this has had a lot of fantastic moves within the up and down legs that they've had that I've talked about before. And another one is Loop Ring. I'm still waiting to buy it back, as it got up to about 3,000, and now it's in at 2,200. This line, to me, is the conservative buy level. It's the level of resistance that it got above, had a quick move, and I drew this line in just after it established this level of resistance. For the 4-hour term time frame, this is where it established it, and then it just had a little move higher. It's been going down ever since. And on the single hour time frame, this is again, had a little small move above it, but it didn't do too much. Failed breakout, fast move lower. Conservatively, the 2,000 handle, but I think it's going to probably go down to about 1,850. Within Steam, this is a market that got up to the 12.5 level in Satoshi against Bitcoin, now down to 1050, still well above this 18 average. The two lines represent some key levels of previous resistance where it really needs to hold this move. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down to 875. I wouldn't want to bet it. What's the next likely play? A move from here down to such, or the equivalency of a save move higher. So the move would be in volatility going from here to here. I'll subtract the two numbers, 125 plus the 50. That's about 175. And that works out to about a 20% move from low to high. So therefore, I do not even want to consider what the best bet would be if one were to be available. What's going to happen? Either a move down here or 20% up. We'd be looking at about, say, 1279 or something. A noticeable break above here. I don't know what that next move would be. I'm trading this against Ethereum, and it's up quite a bit within this. The same thing. It's got a decent amount it could very easily retrace, and on the single hour time frame, I'm looking to buy back below the 30 number. I think it's somewhere around 28. I think I'm at around here. That's what the area, which would meet up right now within the 18. And let's take a look at the last market, which would be Litecoin, looking at both the cross against the US dollar and Bitcoin. And it's like Bitcoin had a lot of the sideways move. Here was the opportunity of a breakout here that did not occur, as when it had, or having its correctionary move. Well, originally it looked to be failing, and it still might. We have this level of support that has majorly been established. Therefore, we know after a week and a bit more of such price movement that any breaks below here and anything where it fails from this point on, because it's got to now fall over 10% to be there. But if it does such, then we'd be looking just like Bitcoin with its 3100 low, next key level. I wouldn't be too excited in saying it's amazing probability of a good spot where this would not only be a bottom area, but it would at least have an okay price rally. And I would define okay as even just back to this previous high. I don't know what the chances of that would be, because it could have a decent sized move, but that's of course if it does go there. If it gets above this 18 highs, and it's coming close to it now, where it's looking that it's possible for such an event, seeing the price movement in here, well, I would look at this as from the low, point A high, correctionary move, a point B low, however you want to talk about that, and then a point B high, which is of course is higher than point A, and then a low higher than the previous one, thus a correctionary move. It did fall below here, but so be it. When it falls below there, was it able to have breakdown and have a big leg lower? No. Instead, it established the support. It caught up with the band through time. So it's a correctionary mode still in place, just a couple weeks live in duration. And if that's the case, point A high, low, getting above here. Just like I'm not too excited about support here, I'm not all that excited about resistance here on any type of break higher. At least not resistance that would have a significant break lower, which in this case would be somewhere down in here. Thus, the odds of coming up and playing into this level here, most certainly, this is the area where a quick leg higher I would think would go to. Let's look at this cross next against BTC. And we'll go multiple time frames from the longest to the shortest, starting off with the monthly term. Choppy, just choppy. Within the choppy, let's kind of ignore this move and this move. So point A, low, high, low. Within it, from this point, we have a lower high from this one, higher low. Now, overall, you could say technically all these highs are pretty much matching, but this is most certainly, albeit a higher high, pretty much a matching high. And this one here really is a higher low to this one, but it's a matching low to this area. And within the choppy up and down movement, generally speaking, the best times to buy are below the 18 lows, best times to sell are above the 18 highs. The question now comes in, is it trying to make a move where it can get up to, well, maybe this area here, 132 would be a quick level of resistance. I would think this could come up to if any of the shorter term rallies get very, very nice. So let's take a look next at the weekly. And amongst such within here, we can see a down move that has happened from the April Fool's high. No, in this case it's the March highs. But regardless, from this point in here, continuous down move, which though so far the low is right here. The 18 average has had a time to stabilize, which the best stabilization it had was this, and that wasn't even much at all. Establishing a level of resistance, coming back to the band. Therefore, this has decent potential as we look on that this could be in the play for that of trend reversal. Within the daily term, and I'm just going to scale this down here with the numbers up top to make it easier to see. But from the low, we've had this resistance established, and this was an inverted head and shoulders pattern, which from that point had a leg higher. When I talk about like the three little bears their storyline. Not too big, not too small, just right. Not this is, I look at the exact same thing, at least for just chart settings is concerned, because big, having a move too big is fine with me when I'm a holder for coins like Litecoin. But as far as a chart's concerned, a small move like going up to like 912, I don't want it. This here, if it's a standard move, to me this looks like a dice size leg higher based on this low, based on this high, and this here, that's a normal leg move. So now you can have a normal correction, which is indeed what it had. Thus, the level of resistance for the past many a days has been where support has been found, and thus far even held successfully. Well, now on the shorter term, what we can see is that it's at this upper end. So after having much time down here, it's now having some time up here, which it hasn't had as much. Thus, a resistance test. And if being able to break it, you'd be getting above this short-term level, getting above the 18 average of highs. The odds of a decent-sized move up here are just tremendously high. If, of course, it's able to, at first step, break out above those levels, and in around 930, getting above that level there, 925, 930 area, and then the mathematical potential of going close to the 100 handle is high for me. Selling at 950, 958, it's not even a question. 940, not even maybe. The highest I want to sell up here right now would maybe be at about 915, 918, 920. Because at that point I'm thinking that's the area where if it's, this is a topping area that does not have that clear breakout level. And once I talk about like 930 and higher, the story becomes obvious. And then getting up here, I don't like the odds too much that it's going to be a great level of resistance. Thus, I'm expecting a sideways move or maybe just come back down here. And if it gets above here, just like I stated before, you want a just right move. And for me, I don't mind it going up too much, but as far as looking for a chart pattern, point A high and point B low stuff, this would be an ideal spot on a break of resistance. So let's now look at the 4-hour term time frame or just the scaling. And this is where it gets very interesting. There's some declining move. Great support many times. Resistance established short term. Let me put a nice horizontal ray in. Well, this little key level from January 14th and 15th was a resistance here. One attempt getting above, not so well. It's showing a lot better this attempt than it is here. Which then brings us to really this level of resistance coinciding with this high, this failed resistance, and then this most recent one. And you really got to go as high as in here. So there's that level at that point here. So therefore, getting out above even here, well, you got this level of resistance again. This is why I talk about that 930 mark. Like getting out above here, if it doesn't do anything like this, then that's why when I state up in here, this thing is not going to resist much in here. It's just probably going to keep going until it gets to its previous high. But as it stands, I really like this the last few periods in itself, the last 12 or so, from the slow. Because you have an instant green candle that gets up to a small pierce above, and instead of correcting in here, it didn't do that. It had great support amongst the 18 average of highs, just grinding an ascending triangle, having it's a small breakout to match this resistance, but this selling immediately found great support once it was completed at a level where it came from. And just tremendous moves over the last 3 periods, especially this one, with an hour 36 left in the 4-hour period. It looks like it's a live, ready to go market for today. Let's move it to the single-hour term next up, and there we can see in here it's had that move. And this is that spot I talk about. I do not like that spot of trying to predict when you have a kilo, the high, a good correctionary move, but good because it's obviously going to be high or low, trend lines, all that's going to work out. And then you have a sudden move to previous resistance, which is what's happened. Because I realize that selling here is just such a scary play. Because I'm looking to buy back at all times, but where am I looking to buy back? Here? Yeah, you know what? Maybe. Maybe not, though. And maybe this just goes sideways for a while, and it's just going to be a waiting game before the next move, which will probably be up, that comes into place. But I've seen this story play many times before. If there's not resistance here, and there's supposed to be, and we get a decent break, it can be monstrous, amazing moves where the move from like point A low to point B high would happen in one period, in 1 hour, in maybe 20 minutes. Though that becomes very, very normal. So it's a wait and see game at this point. When we look at this on the 15-minute time frame, let's put the lines in. Well, this is that level of resistance, and well, there was a little bit of correctionary move in here, just a little bit, and not even to the 18 highs, close but not quite. Now it's well extended above such. It's coming on with great volume, but it's continuing. People are still buying this market up, and as long as there's people willing to push the buy buttons on what people are willing to ask for, thus drive the market higher in price, it's going to go higher. But I notice in here that because it's not resisting, where even through time, other than for like a half hour, you know what, this looks like it's got the early evidence stages that we're looking at one of those spots where we could have, well, it's 9:26 a.m. We could have it at like 11:30 this morning, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, and this thing is already up 10% from this point on. Things like that don't surprise me too much because of the early indications. I'm still going to state it's barely above it. It can be resistance and do whatever, and it could even be support at this point. Those are it's more of a minority or a less common situation, but definitely something that can come into place. Let's put this line back on again, this level here, and shorten out the time frame even further. And I think I'm going to exchange the exchange for this too, for the shorter term, because I'm on Poloniex. When you're talking about moves, Binance has the biggest move, so I'm going to change that. Thus, this line becomes irrelevant. So I'll just put it on the Binance one. And stick in the horizontal ray at this previous high, which is, well, right where the price is now. So a little bit different on this exchange, but pretty much the same. So there we have it here. And when we switch this on to the 5-minute term time frame, it really is showing to me that this thing is poised for a significant move. So how much resistance have we had at this? Well, it fell down sharply on the 5, but it went from close to the 90 to about 89.5. So it went down about 0.6%. That's enough, and they've brought it back to that level. And one of the things that's interesting about charts is where you have point whatever low to the high, and the high is like this. It goes, and you only see a quick line like this. There's not much time there. Then you come back for a price correction that's successful, as is the case here. But this time, when you go back to previous high, you do what we see, spending a lot of time there, making it so this level of resistance, as we can see on the 1, how it comes up here, not much time there, back down. Now it got back up here at 9:03 a.m. The current time as I'm doing this is 9:29. It's been almost 1/2 of an hour, and it just stays at this point, again showing that the setup for today becomes very, very strong. That is it for technical analysis on charts. I'm going to talk very quickly next about the association for tonight. As of the start of me making this video, I can't find any betting lines on this yet, but I gotta think this is the line is going to, it's just too high of an over under to pass on in the New Orleans game against the OKC Thunder. The total beforehand was 237 and a half. And lately, New Orleans games are just going well over that. 250, 260. Yeah, that's normal. But that was when Anthony Davis was playing. He's been out for 2 games now. And the totals of those last 2 games with Jahlil Okafor taking over his role, well, that's brought the totals down. He's going to take a lot of offense out of those games. That reduces points. The defense he plays is going to be different as well. Has been different. So therefore, I'm going to be looking to play on the under of anything over 233, 234 against the OKC Thunder. I talked last night about playing the Atlantic Division in the hockey game. The more I'm looking at the other matchup between the Pacific versus the Central, the Pacific seems just as much as strong as the other division does. Pacific Division is at home, meaning it's in San Jose. And you have Johnny Hockey on that team. You have Connor McDavid. But the biggest ones are the 2 defensemen on San Jose. And they'll take two of the 3 lines. That would be William Karlsson, defenseman, as well as Brent Burns. I think that's going to be very difficult for the Central Division teams of the Nashville, Chicago, Winnipeg. They're probably going to be outclassed as well. So therefore, my prediction for the finals, and I'm not going to predict who will win between the 2, will be the Pacific Division and the Atlantic Division, which is... that's it. Thank you for tuning in. And I don't know when I'll be back. Unless something big happens today, I got no plans for anything I'd want to put out for videos today. I haven't even looked at the gold and silver markets. Let me just quickly do that now. Ooh, nice little move on Litecoin. Ooh, that's a beautiful move like that. Okay, come on, Litecoin. You can go. Do I want to stay doing this video? We're 22 minutes in. This is where I'd like to see that once, like a 10-second time frame. I know the volume isn't good for that, but I mean, you got the volume coming in now. We can see the volume starts here. And it's, yeah, this thing looks poised. I mean, how did I not see this? And like, as maybe you've seen this as you were watching it, but right there. You got big volume like that. It is barely broken out. The odds are stating that it's looking... I have to think that when this video even uploads, that this thing could be having a good chance of going wild, but high volume coming in. Now, high volume can indicate tops as well, too. It's turning points. And a turning point as far as a break of a key level like that is most certainly that as well. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a magnificent day. Bye-bye.